Magic the Gathering has been doing a lot of Universes Beyond crossovers in recent years, from The Walking Dead to Street Fighter, but its next one might be one of the most exciting yet. The Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth will be a full, draftable card set legal for play in Magic's modern format. We have an exclusive look at the first cards to be revealed from it, including a tease of 3 different Gandalfs and some insight from Wizards of the Coast art director Ovidio Cartagena. But those wizards will arrive precisely when they mean to, so first let's kick things off with the One Ring itself. Illustrated by Veli Nystrom, this 4-mana legendary artifact is indestructible and gives you protection from everything until your next turn. As long as you cast it, that is, so no blink shenanigans for endless protection here. It also taps to draw you cards at the cost of life. The more you tap, the more you draw, but also the more damage you take at the start of the next turn, which seems like a delightfully flavorful way to express the tempting but costly power of using the ring. I also like that not using it doesn't actually stop you from taking damage each turn, so after all, why shouldn't you tap it? On a slightly lighter note, we've got to look at a cycle of full art basic lands, each of which feature art from a different section of Middle-earth's iconic map. Cartagena tells me this was one of their very first ideas for the set, saying, quote, "Middle-earth has such a specific geography, and it is of course one of the genius details of storytelling that influenced a lot of subsequent works in fantasy and science fiction. That approach told us not only the challenges and natural obstacles the Fellowship had to traverse in this story, but also is linked to the rich and mythic history of Arda in the previous ages. Making those maps as full art lands complements the card illustrations to create an immersive experience for players. The land's artist, Devin Rue, may also be a familiar name to any Critical Role fans, as they create the maps of Exandria for that show. But let's move on to Gandalf's many incarnations. WotC had previously shown off Dimitri Bermak's art for a card called Gandalf, Friend of the Shire, but we've got the first look at another of his incarnations as the much more stern Gandalf the White. Now, I genuinely don't know anything else about the card, but if you ask me, I'm getting some purely speculative Planeswalker vibes from Magali Villeneuve's Shining rendition. Don't worry, we have an actual Gandalf card to show off as well, but when I asked Cartagena about why Gandalf had so many renditions in this set, he told me that it gives them an opportunity to explore the character more, and that, quote, "Tolkien's rich storytelling allowed us to explore how Gandalf, and others, present themselves to different allies and at different times throughout the story." For example, our next card, Gandalf the Grey, who you might notice is blue-red. That certainly caught me off guard initially, but it does make sense in the context of Magic, where wizards are most commonly represented in the blue-red color pair. Illustrated by Aaron Miller, Gandalf the Grey is a 5-mana legendary avatar wizard, and in typical blue-red fashion, it triggers whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell. That lets you pick once from 4 different options, presumably the last of which is putting it back on top of your deck. You may also notice the rather prominent glowing sword in Gandalf's hand, which Cartagena confirmed is his signature weapon, Glamdring. Teasing, quote, "I think fans are going to be pleasantly surprised to find many of their favorite artifacts from Lord of the Rings in the card set." No word on whether or not Glamdring might get an equipment card of its own or anything, but he did tell me that they had a lot of fun coming up with new interpretations of the legendary objects from the War of the Ring and keeping them consistently recognizable throughout the set. Finally, if you haven't flown yet, you fools, good news! We've got a glimpse of Gandalf's epic confrontation with the Balrog on Anato Finstark's art for the showcase ring treatment of Gandalf the Grey. Not so much of a triumphant portrait, Cartagena says the circular shape of this showcase frame is meant to express what happens inside the ring, quote, "symbolizing the power that the quest for the One Ring can have in different characters' internal struggles." It's a bold design in a very cool direction, so I'm excited to see what the other cards that use it look like. Thankfully, we probably won't have to wait long. A weekly MTG livestream on Tuesday, March 14th at 10 a.m. Pacific will be sharing even more details and reveals from the Lord of the Rings Tales of Middle-earth. In the meantime, you can read my full interview with Ovidio Cartagena on IGN.com, or if you want to see more fancy showcase versions of cards from Magic's most recent set, you can watch me unbox the Phyrexia All Will Be One Complete Edition bundle. And for everything else Lord of the Rings, Magic the Gathering, and more, you're already in the right place at IGN.